Are you recording me now? My name is Durwood Kirby, and I used to be on the Gary Moore Show. And in case that plays back.
Well, the real Durwood Kirby, please stand up.
Yeah. There was on the old Bullwinkle show, they had the Kerwood Derby, which was
Well, the Bullwinkle show sure got away with a lot, didn't they? They had a episode where it's like, and Rocky and Bullwinkle went to find the stolen pot of money, and the newspaper headline read, "Find the pot."
Oh yeah, well they used to do great stuff. I had a brief TV show here in L.A. when I was here the first time in '71. They were trying out different hosts, and I did a week and didn't make it. I don't even know if anybody did, come to think of it, but. Anyway, of course, I was a huge, Jay Ward, Bill Scott fan, and so through a friend, I knew I was able to get Bill Scott to come on with me. And of course, he was wonderful. I said, you didn't, the writing wasn't for kids. He said, oh no. He said we'd think of a plot, and we'd make it real simple, so the kids could follow it. And then he said we threw in every one-liner we could think of. So it's just like. This was unbelievable, the stuff that they used to do. But I digress. Hi, how are you doing over there at Salem?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm just fine. Just fine. Today's my daughter's birthday. I remember the day she was born. I said, well, I'm planning to have breakfast with some friends. Can you just hang on until lunchtime? But no, I had to go to the hospital.
She's in the hospital right now?
No, she was born in the hospital.
Oh.
Follow along here. I'm not going that fast. Today is her birthday. I'm trying to figure out how old she is. I think she's 54.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that would make me well into my 40s then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, definitely. Unless you're eternally 39 like Jack Benny.
Yeah, that was always funny, wasn't it? They were going to have his big birthday, and somehow they always worked the script around to where he missed the birthday, so he always stayed 39, which is, I don't remember exactly what they used to do because I was a Ute at that time. I can quote Joe Pesci.
The two Utes went over
here.
here.
You've seen the,
yeah.
God, that, he said, Fred Gwynn, Ute? What's a Ute?
The two youths.
Yeah, right. Then he has the TH go, clear across this page, youth. That was my cousin Vinny. I was thinking at the time, that was a great movie. He was great. Then he kind of retired. I guess, after the Goodfellas, he thought, well, everybody will think I'm a mafioso. Well, of course they will, Joe,
Yeah, well,
the one I really liked in that was Ray Liotta. He was really good as Henry Hill.
Oh, yeah. And then they had that Tony two times. I'm going there where the bit chicks are to get myself a Brandy Alexander, He was like,
right. Yeah, saw me 2 times. Yeah, he did everything 2 times. Oh, they were nice people. Oh, sure, they were a little rough around the edges, but, all in all,
Well, then Joe Pesci didn't wear his wig in Home Alone. He had a crew cut. And
that's right.
as Harry and for 2 movies.
The other guy? Daniel Stern was the other guy.
Yeah, I remember in the second movie, "Merry Christmas, Harry! Happy Hanukkah, Marvin!"
God. Well, Macaulay Culkin was cute, and then he got a... Have you ever noticed all these really adorable, cute, little child stars grow up to be goofy looking?
Yeah. That is so true.
Yeah. The only one that actually grew up to be good looking was Dean Stockwell. He was...
oh, yeah.
You know who he is, or,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on Quantum Leap as Al.
That's right, yeah.
And he was a former child
actor. I saw
him
in a movie. Well, that was when I decided I wanted to be an actor, and then I had a chance to, play the heavy hits and passed on that, kept flogging, Betty Holly records until hell froze over. But anyway, when I saw him in a movie called The Secret Garden, And it was Margaret O'Brien, all the kiddie stars of the MGM days, Margaret O'Brien and Dean Stockwell and a couple of other goofy-looking children, But it was a good movie. But his part was mostly to throw tantrums, and God, he was good at it. I so admired him for that.
So, how much theater did you do as a child?
Well, a lot of children's theater in the Portland Civic Theater. A lot of plays I don't really remember now. What they were about. Mostly it was three kids, saving the world, and I was small, so I never got to be the hero. I was always the goober, who kind of tagged along. But I was cute as hell, and I had a lot of presence on stage. I should have pursued that, but I figured I had about a 40 or 50-year career as a disc jockey. At best, I might have been in a TV show for 3 years and then never heard from again, so...
And residuals back then were not very good. I think the first show
if there were any, they weren't much. No, that's for sure.
I think Gilligan's Island, I think they paid them for the first 3 episodes repeated, and then after that, nothing.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of times they would take buyouts, too. They'd offer them a pretty good hunk of money. Oh, geez, well, this thing may not last. So they'd take it, and the damn thing would run 30 years, so... Which, of course, I would have been one of those goobers who signed the buyout,
And you have been part of the song Bottle of Wine by the Fireballs.
Oh, yeah, Bottle of... Yeah, it was a terrible record, wasn't it? Good Lord.
I don't know. I get a kind of a kick out of it because it's just like so goofy,
Yeah.
But hey, I remember a couple of years ago, when I was interning for Oldies 93 CBS FM, I wrote Benny Martinez some questions for a giveaway at the Pick and Save grand opening in Fullerton, and the question was, who sang Bottle of Wine in Sure Shack? And the people in the audience were kind of like, huh? And so Benny and I broke down to the first line of Bottle of Wine. They were like, no, we know the song. We just don't know who sang it. And
oh, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, that was a terrible. He had another one. He had another hit.
Yeah, Sugar Shack was the other one.
Yeah, that wasn't too great either, was it?
Well, it's funny. There's a book called The 50 Worst Songs, the 50 Worst Albums, and the Worst Rock Artists. And Sugar Shack was one of them. They said the first 2 verses of the song, he's reminiscing about how he's going to go to the Sugar Shack where he left the girl of his dreams years beforehand. And finally, in the 3rd verse, before we find out whether he got there and wasn't hit by a train crossing over the track, suddenly he's married to that girl and they're going back to the Sugar Shack again. And it's like, where's the verse where they reunite? And they said, how about this? He goes to the Sugar Shack, ends up becoming a bar. He dumps his wife, buys a bottle of wine, and begins a life of destitution. Now we got a song happening.
Yeah, right. Depressing as hell, but,
it'll make a great country hit.
Well, hell, a country guy could write that in 10 minutes, like the... I always loved, there was one country title, I don't know whether it was ever a song, but it was like, I see that my phone ain't ringing, so I assume it still ain't you, which is like... How the hell do you top that,
Or KZLA had a commercial like, I can't stand all this twangy country music like, my baby drank herself to death.
Well, that was a good song. That was by Travis Spoonman, Oh, well, are we actually doing anything here, or are we just wasting tape?
Actually, this is part of the conversation, I guess, sometimes, even better than the introduction. But anyway, folks, this is the Talking Archive. My name is Josh Jacobs, and we are talking with world-famous Tom Murphy. And, Tom, thanks for being with us.
Listen, it's my privilege and pleasure. Mostly, I'm not really doing anything, so I thought, well, I'll kill a little time with my old pal Josh. And here we go.
To quote Peter Pan in the ride at Disneyland, away we go.
Peter Pan said that?
Well, yeah, he said that in the ride. I don't think on the actual movie, but
no.
Rides
always who played Peter Pan?
On Broadway was Mary Martin, I remember, but Margaret Carey was the model for Tinkerbell.
Right. Bobby Driscoll was the voice.
I did not know that.
Well, of course you didn't. How would you? You know, I'm the only person who would take time out of his busy schedule in life to learn some factoid like that. I've known that for well over 50 years, and I finally got to use it. Thank you, Josh. I'll not forget this.
Oh, thank you. And I get to learn something I never knew before. So,
and you didn't need either, Josh.
Yeah, well, take that to everybody who thinks they know everything.
Well, as a couple, maybe, you know.
Well, tell us about how you got into acting when you were a kid.
Well, I just, you want to know the truth, I saw Dean Stockwell in a movie called The Secret Garden, and I really thought that, you know, that really looked like something I would enjoy doing, and so I just kind of pursued it. I never was real serious with it. I did a lot of children's theater, you know, little plays, and they're, you know, and then in high school and college, of course, you know, I was the senior class best actor of the Grant High School class of 58. 58, my God, how old is he? I'm going to be 83 in March. How's that?
There you go.
Save your listeners a little time trying to figure it out.
Especially the younger ones who need a calculator.
Yeah, right. You know, like, I wished I'd majored in math so I could figure out how old that guy Josh is talking to is. No, but anyway, I didn't. I got started so young in radio, you know, that it would always be very hard for me to leave a job at the top station up in Oregon to come down to L.A. and end up, you know, announcing the tables that are ready for the people at IHOP, you know, just like table for 4 for the Grundleman family. Well, that guy has a nice voice. He ought to be in radio. He'd like to be. I answer my own questions sometimes. I didn't figure, you know. No, but anyway, that was. I did it in college and in high school, and when I was a kid, you know, we used to do plays sometimes, and I always enjoyed it. I just never, you know, when I got out of I had some friends like in high school. You know, we all were in drama, you know, and God, they hightailed it to New York. And a short time later, they hightailed it back to Portland. You know, so I thought I would just, well, you know, if he couldn't make it, Lord knows I can't. He can actually act. You know what?
But at least you got the experience of New York City with pizza, delis, and good hot dogs and bagels.
I never went to New York for that. No.
Oh.
I almost went to New York in radio, and one of my. You know, my near misses, which always has kind of bothered me. In the 60s, there was a station in New York called WMCA. There were two, WABC and WMCA, and they were both playing top 40. And I don't know what possessed me to do it. I was at KJR in Seattle at the time, and I saw where their evening man, Gary Stevens, was leaving to go be a diplomat in Sweden or something or other, you know, what he was doing. And I thought, well, you know, why not take a shot at that? So I called a friend who told me what to do. He said, you know, when you send a tape, he was in a rep firm and was in New York. He said, when you send your tape, you know, address it Ruth Meyer, and then put forwarded at the suggestion of Frank something or other. The last name escapes me now. So anyway, that's what I did, and I was doing 6 to 9 at KJR, so. I would like to, and it was for the evening show in New York, and so I would tape an hour one night and an hour the next night and then a different hour the next night, and then I'd take them out to SeaTac, where there was an all-night post office thing, and I just, you know, put it in there, and they'd put it on a red eye to New York, and it would be on Ruth Meyer's desk the next day, you know. And so she really kind of liked me. It would be kind of I think she was thinking about bringing me in. In fact, later on I talked to her, and she said we were seriously thinking about it, but she realized that she was kind of on thin ice by that point for whatever reason. And I never understood. She was the one that came up with the good guys and the sweatshirt and all that stuff. You know, that was all Ruth.
Wow.
And so...
In fact,
she was really neat. I ran into her later on. I almost did some work for her when she was with NBC with some network thing that they were doing, but I was in L.A. and she was in New York, and it was before they had the satellite stuff, so you go in and put it in the computer and it would arrive, like an email across the country,
Wow.
But anyway, that never came to fruition. But she told me that she said it was kind of a little bit risky to take a guy from Seattle clear on the West Coast and move him into New York. She was going to run into a little resistance there from the management, but she said I just knew that I probably wasn't going to be there too much longer, and I knew you had a really good job at KJR, which was a good station and had a very good reputation back in those days. And so, she said, I just didn't bring you in. I don't remember who she brought in, if anybody, come to think of it. But that was kind of my near miss. I always sort of wished I could have worked at MCA and worked with her because she was a pretty cool old gal,
Speaking of WMCA and the good guys, KISN 90 Wonderful, KISN, where you were, your first radio gig, the DJs there were also called the good guys.
Yeah, we did the whole thing. Yeah, we did good guys, and we had the sweatshirts. We bought them with the same face, and everything. And they were this was, I guess, probably in maybe late '63, early '64 when we started doing the good guy stuff. And they did that right up until 1976 when the FCC threw them off the air.
Wow.
Which is true, they did.
Dang.
Well, Don had some moments with the FCC. He had a lawyer. I'm the greatest FCC lawyer in the world. I'll get you off. Well, of course he wasn't, and he didn't. And Don lost the station.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was that lawyer?
Well, my friend Jay Stevens, I'm sure you know that name from here in L.A.
Yeah.
He owned a couple of stations, and they were small, but he said his attorney, pointed out. He said you don't want to go in front of the FCC and really, start, with a flamethrower, with your case, because you may win that one, but you'll never win another one. And I thought that was kind of sage advice, as it were, But anyway, Don, he just wouldn't, I found, it was sort of funny. There was a columnist in the old days, kind of a muckraker, I guess, called Jack Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
And he kind of got wind of the fights that Don was having with the FCC, and he wrote, several columns about, where does a government agency, get to the point where they can take away a man's property and his living, which, of course, they were going to do, And that didn't set too well, but Don never would back off. I think if he'd have, eaten a little humble pie and thrown himself, on the mercy of the court and paid a fine, he probably would have been okay. But he kept thinking that this genius lawyer who was going to get him off, and he did get him off. He got him off broadcasting.
Oh my goodness, that lawyer sounds even worse than Sidney Powell.
Well, yeah. She turned out not to be as great as she told everybody she was, didn't she?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, at KGR,
anyway, Don was a piece of work. He died young. He had cancer and I think he passed away at about 56. But he was quite a character.
And at KISN up in Portland, that station was the number one station.
Oh, we
in the
were
market.
huge, yeah.
And
it sounds like I was huge. I'm not saying that. We were huge.
Just a side note: some of the memorabilia you're seeing here on this YouTube page are courtesy of DJMasterControl.com. That's DJMasterControl.com. I asked them if we could use those pictures as well as JPEGs and survey folders, and they sent a really nice note. They said, whatever you need, take. They said Tom Murphy's a great guy. When he was on KISN during the British invasion period, his ratings actually looked like a misprint. True story, KEX 1190, which was a competing station playing more middle-of-the-road music, contacted Hooper, who was the arbitron of the day, to make sure it was not in error. Tom Murphy just owned the market. This is the Talking Archive. My name is Josh Jacobs, and next time we'll talk with Tom and find out how he got to be on the 90 Wonderful KISN.